So welcome everybody to the Underhill Conservation Commission meeting for March 10th, 2025. We have a guest here joining us tonight, and I think we should go around the table just to introduce us to everybody. I'm Karen McKnight. I'm the chairperson until we have an election. So, Laurie.
I'm Laurie Graham. I'm taking the minutes.
Penny Miller. I live off Poker Hill Road.
Betsy Chapik, I live in the village.
And I'm Scott Deo, I live off of Poker Hill Road.
Well, welcome. And Patrick?
Yeah, this is Patrick.
And Patrick lives on Beartown Road, as do, well, I live on Beartown Road, and you live on?
High Meadows.
High Meadows. Yeah. So, anyway. Call to order the meeting, and I welcome everybody. Adjustments to the agenda, and although I really wanted to talk about the conservation small talk, I don't think there's enough time.
Okay.
Something came up, and it has to do with composting, and I think we need to use the time to talk about that first.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean after. Yeah. So I'm sorry about that.
Can I do a quick reading? Or
Yes.
is this a good time? Good place?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a excerpt from Ethan Tapper's book, How to Love Forest. The gravel skidder churns, blowing black smoke into the summer woods. We already have the power to save this living world and to save ourselves in the process. Our challenge is to find the humility to recognize the preciousness of ecosystems and to access the vision to protect them. The future of this forest, of every ecosystem on Earth, of our own species, will be written by the choices that we make. We made that the way we manage ecosystems and the way we manage ourselves, the way we change them, the way we change ourselves. I thought that was kind of
great.
a neat perspective that he really uses quite strongly in his book. His story.
Before we go on to the question, did anyone want to stop about the cat?
Yes.
I just did, yes.
About the scratching?
Oh,
It looks like the cat likes him.
Oh, yeah. The one thing you have to be a little careful about is when you're not paying attention, moving your hands in front of the cat, he scratches.
Sounds good.
He's really loving
Until you do that.
until you're not, yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
My cat's like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, he's known to fly through the air like this and bite me. Okay. All right. So, is there public comment? Do you want to make a comment about coming and joining tonight, or I don't want to put you on the spot?
Oh, no, I've always been interested in joining, and there's a conflict with our Lions business meeting. But I just decided that I'd rather do this than sit in the business meeting. So,
Oh,
and I did talk to the president and stuff, and see, I think it's worthwhile to engage more with this committee.
Wow. Well, welcome.
let's hope you still say that at the end of the meeting.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So thank you for that. Approval of the February 10th meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes for the February 10th meeting.
And is there a second?
I will second.
Okay.
Miller.
Discussion about the minutes.
The only thing that I would love for us to do, if we could think about it, is to plan the conservation small talk ahead of time so that we can actually list it on the agenda so that the public might be interested in tuning in for that. To that end, I have a sign up. So I'd like to pass that around if I may. And I believe that we discussed
Wait, we have to approve them. We have to discuss the minutes first. Now.
oh yeah, okay, sorry. Well, that was my addition to the minutes.
Yeah.
Sorry, okay.
Okay.
Sorry about the small. Sorry.
Yeah. The only thing that I don't understand about the minutes is I was supposed to do something that has to do with the suggestions that Patrick made for the Abenaki
Right.
presentations. don't remember what it is and I didn't write it down here, so did
I
I?
can tell you what it is, looking at the minutes if it helps.
Well, I looked at the minutes. It didn't really help to say what I was going to really do.
Send a list of options to the group and we'll decide at our next meeting about 3 ceremonies that Patrick suggested we have.
Oh, I thought we were gonna, oh, okay.
That's what the minutes say.
Or maybe we could
Maybe we
talk
could,
through it in
talk-
the meeting
yeah,
and decide.
yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Did you already, ask for adjustments to the agenda?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you want to do adjustments?
I'd like to add something on mapping information for Crane Brook.
Okay. Yeah. Well, can you do it in the,
I can do it quickly.
yeah.
There,
Yeah.
there is a
There's a say,
CBCD,
says signs and
Oh,
maps.
right.
there's a spot for you.
Okay, yes, I'm,
Super.
yeah. Okay, other comments about the minutes?
No.
No. Then, hearing no other comments, is there a motion, no, we haven't, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, and there's been a second.
Yeah, all in favor? to approve the
Aye.
minutes? Aye.
Pat says aye.
Pap says aye, I say aye. Okay, the minutes are approved, thank you for that. Yeah. So for the conservation small talk, I was going to talk about service berry, which actually might be better to do next month because it's closer to when it starts blooming anyway.
Okay, and we had said next month would be talking about how to safely share plants or how to prepare for a plant swap. Should we still do that or do both? In preparation for May.
Yes. Well, May's not the plant swap.
When is plant swap?
June, but it wouldn't hurt to.
Well, then we can just,
No, we could do both.
we can do both.
Or we could talk about how to share plants next month as just a topic that we need to bring up relative to the plant swap, right?
Well, why don't we do both? Just do both. We'll have one as a topic
Okay.
and one as a small talk. How about
Okay,
that?
so service berry, that's April, right? Service berry, Karen. And plant swap, Penny.
Yes. It's going to be very interesting to talk about it because the service berry played such an important role in native populations.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm going to be very excited to talk about that. Okay, so the next thing then would be the CBD signs and maps plan.
Okay, so, Marcy and I met this weekend and she's eager to make this map. It will be much like the map at Mills River. She's doing it out of the goodness of her heart. And we talked about a variety of things, some of which, so I'll start with a question. Have we written a thank you note to to Logan and his family? And
I have not.
I have not either.
was there some thought of writing a group note?
At least signing it was, and I was going to bring some note cards. So if people can just, since you're often the note person, would you just pick the card? Thank you. We can pass it around and.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that we talked about, and the trail.
Pardon me, could I just fill in like 3 sentences for Scott, so he knows what we're talking about?
Yes.
An Eagle Scout in town decided as a special project to help us do a few things in our town forest, which is the Crane Brook Conservation District in Underhill Center. And one of the things we did was make directional signs, cut signs out of wood and paint them. So we have those to put up for the trails. And we also, he and his father built a boardwalk about the size of this table to go up a ditch that is so heavy that it will take the town crew and heavy equipment to lift it and put it over the ditch in the spring. So we're just talking, and he also raised a lot of money for this project and gave the Conservation Commission something like $900, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Which was left over after he got all the materials. So we're now just following up with that.
Yes, and he's been off on various adventures. He graduated from high school at the end of the semester in December, or no, January, after they had the test, yeah. So, yes.
Okay, so in terms of, I'm gonna pass this to someone else because I can't do two things at once, or one thing sometimes. Trail signs, putting them up will follow the completion of the map. And the map will take, could be a couple of months, but we need the map finished because it will be our guideline. And so I don't have a definite date from Marcy about the map, but that seems to be the best plan because in our conversation and looking at the map, we discovered that there are some places there, these guys don't need to be put because we're eliminating some confusing intersections. And so, so that's that. We'll use these colors. There was some question about could we have this chunk of wood, slice it in half or lengthwise, and that can't be done. It's too dangerous on a saw to, so we'll have to use these. We have lots of them. We probably won't be needing all of them, but anyway. The size of the map, which will be, she's going to make an original, which will be kept to her so that she can make adjustments and that sort of thing as need be. But the size will be 14 by 17, and we'll have 2 copies to use. One for the current kiosk, which is on New Road by the entrance there, and then hopefully we'll have a similar setup, or at least a signboard at the Irish settlement end of the trail. She's interested and desiring to create points of interest that will be marked on the map, such as the historic foundation, some other geological kinds of sites, some of the glacier rock kinds of things. And it will be done very simply. The big rock entrance that's off Irish Settlement will not show that entrance. It'll just be used by people who know it, neighbors, with the hope that the 2 entrances and the flow of the map makes more of a big circle instead of a come to an end and turn around and go back kind of thing. That, I hope these are okay. If there's problems with some of these decisions, it just seemed like Marcy, who knows the area so well, said that she offered these ideas that would eliminate confusion, basically. She also has ideas on how to simplify our ethics list, knowing what she knows about Crane Brook and what she knows about some of the things that have happened at Mills River. And all of this will come to us before it's a final document piece map. Let's see, what else? There were some questions that we had, one of which was, where our current sign is on New Road, there used to be a path that went up along, parallel to New Road, and then across the creek or brook, and then up towards the town garage, maybe sometime down the road. we would want to implement that trail so that it would fit into the current trails that we have. That's just an idea for down the way. Another question she had for the map and any literature pamphlets type thing, did we want to use a QR code, or how do we think about that? So these are some things to think about. Her question, and I didn't really have the clarity to answer, was, is the road where we did all of our knotweed work that goes from the boundary line to the Demarest property, is that Conservation Commission, or is it a right of way? And is our property, is the conservation, the Crane Brook on the earth side of that road? Do we know the answer to that?
Wait, I'm
Am I
not
making
really
sense?
sure what the question is. Again.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know how our kiosk is where it is, and that's kind of the beginning of the major chunk of land that Crane Brook has. From there to Demarest's property line, is the property line for the Crane Brook on the west side of that brook and road where we did all the
Or does it
knotweed,
include the road? And do we promote that road? Because do we want to promote it right to the boardwalk and then that's it, or not at all on the map, or?
Well, I think that when she was talking about the map, she was thinking of the large parcels, correct? But the other, I mean, we do have those two smaller parcels at the far end. I thought that we didn't want to, I mean, we wanted people to look at them, but we don't want people to mess with them. Ethan had said that those were very special areas, very special wetlands up there, and they shouldn't be, I mean.
Shouldn't be promoted on a map, in other words,
Yeah.
not part of a trail.
Not part
of the trail.
But the Crane Brook trail, you know, would be nice to show going out to connect out to Irish Settlement, I would think.
So in other words,
Yeah.
Karen, where you're planning on putting that boardwalk across that ditch that we went across for the flower, I forgot, you weren't at the flower, maybe the flower, Betsy's flower walk. Maybe you weren't there. But Betsy, you know what I'm talking about? We crossed the ditch for the flower walk. We went down.
Do you know where where the knotweed mesh was?
Yeah.
It's right in that vicinity.
Okay.
And that's where the boardwalk, the little boardwalk is going to go over the ditch.
Okay, so would the boardwalk then in that part of New Road be on the map that Marcy would be making as part of the trail system, or would that would be?
It would be.
Okay.
But it has to do a certain setback from the trail, certain, a little bit. It can't be in the trail. It has to go just to the trail. That's why the town road crew is putting it in for us.
Oh, yeah, but in terms of that part of New Road would be on the map.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Is that, but not beyond that perhaps, because then we get into private property close to down there, or?
Well, it's a little bit, I'll sort this out a little bit more with Marcy, but to know that we can definitely follow the road trail to where the bridge cross piece is going is important. Because on our map, it doesn't matter, you can't see, but there is a perimeter trail that comes into the Krug Road Extension Trail beyond the bridge site. There is a place where, but anyway.
Most people from Underhill Center know what Betsy's talking about. I don't know what Betsy's talking about.
I think I know what trail you're talking about, yeah.
Well, she and I will look again. We plan to walk the whole network of trails so that we're clear that sort of thing. And so after that happens and I chat with you all again, I'll have a better idea of what that question means, and it'll help us all visualize it better.
Can I bring up one more thought?
Of course.
It's just that it's come up a couple of different times, and it did in the last meeting, about making it really clear where private property is. And I wondered if we want to do that on site with some sign saying private property beyond. And do we want to do that on a map? It's just a question that I have, like private property beyond. So that's just a thought.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yes, that is a good thought, and we would want to do that for the property owner to the south too.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe have a special sign where that it's a trail that's used by townsfolk, but it's not.
Oh, no.
It's on it's not part of Cranebrook,
Uh-huh.
and so
Oh.
the property owner was pretty clear about. Yes, people use it from in the neighborhood, but I don't.
They sort of have permission from the owner to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So unless anyone I have some information about trail signs and more about timelines for work at Cranebrook. But I don't think that's where we are right now on the agenda, is that right? You're just interested in, shall I go ahead?
Yeah.
So as I said, the trail signs, we'll figure out, how they're going to be posted, which would include hardware. We use these 3 colors, and Marcy was relieved to know that they're not gonna be like tree 1, tree 2, tree 3, that they'll really be posted more at intersections and possibly 1 or 2 along longer stretches. The link trail, which now comes from Irish Settlement down the hill past the meadow to the gravel pit or sand pile in the town garage, that's going to be rerouted to go left by that huge pile of knotweed and come down the hill through the hemlock to the kiosk. Does that make any sense? So in other words, the trail will not, when we want to go up to the meadow, we'll go from the kiosk right up through the hemlock to the lower part of the meadow, and then on our way out towards the rest of the trails.
Yeah.
We felt that it would be wise to maybe implement that now to prevent any difficulty with the town garage and use. Obviously, people who, like myself, might ride through there, I'll know that is the case, and I'll take my own responsibility for it. But in terms of most walking trail, it will not be included in the map. Does that make any sense?
Will it
You
be
just-
penciled in or something? Because let's say somebody's a biker and they know that there's a link. And if they get to that point, and I know where you mean to go towards the Hemlock Trail, they might take that, but that's really steep to bike down. They wouldn't necessarily know that there's a
Yeah, well,
road there that,
I guess we have to decide,
yeah,
Or dashed in, or,
yeah, some,
or walk down, or,
yeah,
I don't know.
well, when the weather's better, maybe we should go out and talk about
yeah. I mean, I can see having the trail on the map and then just have the road kind of penciled in.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is a road. I mean, if somebody is biking, I think they'd know to take the road rather than the little trail because of the steepness. It's not so steep coming up if you have a bike, but going down it can be.
it. Scott, are you familiar with that
Yeah.
Cranebrook Conservation District?
I've been out there about a half dozen times, but
I got lost out there a while back, so it was really important we do signage.
And one last thing is that any connector trail, and I will be colored black. And that connector trail will come more clearly when Marcy and I walk together. Or I suppose anybody could come along if you want.
That's great, Betsy. The connector trail of Mills Riverside on the map is blue, as I recollect. And for a long time, I thought it meant a stream. And other people thought it meant a stream too. That's a great idea.
With the connector trails, I think that there's at least one that we had decided we didn't really think it needed to be there. And, it's at the top of the meadow, sort of, and it goes.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's,
so that won't show up black, it'll just be no trail,
right.
yeah, or something.
Betsy, thank you for what
Yeah,
you
thank
do.
you.
Yeah, and there's also one that, there's a little offshoot from the Purple Trail to Irish Settlement,
Mm.
which won't be included. It'll just feed into the trail differently. So there will be nothing moved earthwise, but visually it'll change a little bit. This map will change. And I think it will be, Marcy is so clear on what she knows that she needs to do. It's very exciting. So,
Great.
Oh, God, that's wonderful.
yeah, so that's that as far as trail signs and
But
Rain
should
Brook.
we think about compensation? Or?
she said no. She wants to do it. She was very adamant about it being a gift.
Oh, so
And
nice.
she considers, and she also had some ideas for names, which we'll see down the road how that works for the trails. But she knows that land so well and
It's wonderful.
is really eager to help out.
That's wonderful.
We'll keep the thank you notes handy.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Do you want me to talk about the kiosk quickly? It's all on their 5-year plan, sort of, what's been developed so far.
That's right. So I added to the 5-year plan. So if we have that, maybe I could just tell you quickly what I did. On the first page, I put in green the possible landowner interfacing that we might need to do given the Natural Resources Inventory Committee's suggestions to the Planning Commission. So that's just so you know, I've added that in green. And then under the Crane Brook, if we go to, Crane Brook is number 2, town properties that the UCC oversees. I filled in some of the action items that Betsy came up with. I've got a repeat with install the boardwalk down at the bottom. But so those are some of the action items Betsy's thinking through.
Where are,
So under
They're
number
on-
2,
they're here, okay, over here, I see. Oh,
so there are some in March that Betsy had that I added here, which was the dedication plaque to discuss options and costs and design. I have that I can show you. And a thank you note to Logan and the Wells family, that's going around the table. And then also a sign-up sheet for monthly monitoring of the Crane Brook trails by the Conservation Commission members. We talked about that a long time ago.
It's, the whole Crane Brook piece is a big project,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a good one. Feels like there's momentum to really make it make the things that we've been talking about happen. And
This is a great example, though, of a project that we've got that has a lot of moving parts that you're trying to pull together, and you're the project manager of it. And that is just one of the many projects that we've got on our 5-year plan list. So I just wanted to leave it in people's minds that I wonder if we should this project, this 5-year plan project list was very ambitious, and Karen in the past has said that we should really have a project manager for these different projects to then think through the action items before we can put it on our 5-year plan spreadsheet. So I wonder if we should move some of these projects that are maybe near and dear, or maybe were urged upon us by the town plan or the planning commission, to the bottom as like unassigned, and maybe move the ones up that we really feel we can do. Because on this 5-year plan project, the ones in yellow are really the ones that we, for the most part, carried out in 2024. And everything else they're aspects of this 5-year plan that we really haven't put any time into. And I don't know where we would find the time exactly. So I just have so basically it comes down to, I wonder if this should be reorganized to have so that it's sorted, so that at the bottom of the list they're unassigned. And if we should start assigning, if people should start signing up to be project managers for these various initiatives.
So, for example, you mean in regard to just the Cranebrook district, the things at the bottom? Or are you talking,
So
are you looking at the front page?
I'm looking at the front page and saying, Cranebrook, Betsy's agreed to be project manager, and she's already got a laundry list of action items that really we all need to volunteer for. She needs a subcommittee for all of these, or she needs to find somebody else that will help her with these.
Well,
So that's just one of the projects.
right. I think that, Betsy would be the organizer for, let's say, the Cranebrook things. I think the expectation is that some of us are going to help her.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's just one item
That's one.
out of like 14. So we have her 12. So we have to, I think, figure out which ones in reality we can take on, and other people have to start signing up as project managers. So Betsy offered to do number 2, the town properties that the UCC oversees. But we need to start kind of going through the list and deciding who wants to take on what, right? I mean, at some
Right.
point.
I think that this was sort of the list, and we wanted to prioritize which ones we could do this year versus
Ever.
well,
Really?
I don't want to say ever, but yes. Maybe we can start doing that in year 2 or maybe year 3.
So maybe that's the way to do it,
Yeah.
but we have to start at some point
Yeah.
doing just what Betsy did, is picking a project and getting a project manager and thinking through all the action items for it.
I mean, outside issues with some of these, I think are very short term. I mean, it's a conversation more. The roadside issues and policy formation for the town.
We'll say it again, Karen, which one?
Number
Which number?
8. Number 8.
Right.
Roadside, yeah.
So the timing of cutting and how to handle, so that probably involves talking with Russ and figuring out what the roadside issues are. Are there any that the state of Vermont recommends? What's the timing, writing something about how to handle it, collaborate? I mean, so there are action items on it.
Yes, there are. And I think, for example, when do you start cutting?
Right, yeah.
One hand.
So somebody's got to lead the forces on it, So I think we just have to, we have to move
Divide
forward
and
with
conquer.
this. Right, we have to move forward. So Betsy has said she'll do number 2, and she worked on that this past month. So the rest of us have to end up deciding, what will we do?
That's correct.
Will we project manage any of these?
My inclination is to do the educational piece, personally.
Right.
Yeah. But I think some of the other ones are, I think we're getting sidetracked though, because here we are, we need to go through talk about the logo next, and
Could we imagine
Yeah.
going home, everyone looking at this and coming back with some ideas to make a commitment, and then we can get. So that could go on next month's agenda.
Right, how about everyone take a look and see if you would be willing to project manage any of these projects, any of these initiatives, or if not, be willing to help out with any particular ones. Or the third thing is, do you know of anybody else in town? We could have adjunct committees who might be willing to take on these as project managers.
yes,
Okay, great.
right. Okay. So have you finished with?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you want to start?
well, yeah,
Or maybe you're not finished yet.
let me just add, because it ties in with Cranebrook, the kiosk, and, it's gonna need some work along with, hopefully a new sign. I believe we talked about having a sign at the, and or a kiosk or one or the other, at the, Irish settlement entrance. And I know that, I don't know who made the sign that's on New Road, but it's a great sign. And is that Amy? I know when we were talking about signs and kiosks, she had given me the name of the company that did it, which no longer is in business.
It's that green and gold one.
Yeah,
It's
there was one,
At the far end too,
yeah,
metal,
off,
isn't it, right?
off,
Irish settlement. Yeah.
which got, just, didn't it get taken down?
It got taken down and then somebody found it. And then I think, if I remember correctly, and I thought it got restored.
Oh,
It may not be, but I think it did because there was a conversation about exactly where to place it.
okay.
So it would be on our property or the town right of way rather than some private.
I'll check with Amy, because she had one stored in their on their garage.
And what, does she still have that?
I have no idea. And I don't know, maybe Steve Webster also had a sign in their barn. I don't know, but, so no one, that would be a great thing once I check in with Amy, or so find out if we have one, for someone to pick up a little piece and follow that thread. All these things that have to do with the kiosk would be great to happen between now or April through October.
And Betsy, is that something that you imagine we could spend the extra funds that Logan
Some of it would need
for
to,
that?
maybe, if that's agreeable to everyone. We'll have to get estimates and things like that, I guess.
Yeah, and I think also we have to have a conversation with Brad because on the placement of where that's going to be, only because that is an emergency
Oh,
way to go over to Irish settlement if need
yeah.
be.
That's
So,
the Irish settlement entrance you're talking
Yeah.
about, Ken?
yeah, okay.
Because originally that was parking. People could park there.
Yeah.
Up to, I think, 3 or 4 cars. And
But no more, right? Parking's not allowed there?
not allowed now because
Okay.
it's
Um,
emergency.
I will talk to Brad about the location, at least get an answer on that started. Because if there is a sign and we know about the location, it could go up, which would be very exciting. I think. So, logo. I have to say that I did very little with this particular sample. Penny and I came to an agreement about one that we sort of jerry-rigged a little bit, but I'm gonna pass it around, pass them all, but here, It's a brand new logo. It's very cool.
This is trying to address the mountains, the bunnies, the fauna, the flora.
Bunnies.
So these are, this is the main sample, and I can,
And it's not the correct resolution or finished well right now, but it takes a lot of time to do this, so we just decided to just do it roughly and just see if everybody liked it. If not, it's back to the drawing board.
so those are samples of each opportunity to implement the use of it.
Oh, I see.
On any of our literature, emails, at Crane Brook, things that we post, even with the Instagram. So that the seal logo is basically the same, and it is just a little different, but
Oh, someone else is doing this.
Me,
Oh.
just me, so I can do a
Yeah.
screen
So,
share.
Betsy, with this, so this is the logo, but at times
will be used, for instance,
without
on our,
the,
yeah,
without the Underhill around here.
and you'll see that some of the samples have the logo and then Underhill Conservation Commission in print. And thank you very much, Penny, because you really hustled on that to get it
But we'd
ready.
like to know what you think.
Yeah,
If you like it, if you don't like it, what you'd like changed.
but, and in the same breath, let's move on.
Yes.
If there, unless there's really some strong.
The idea is it's supposed to be very symbolic. It's the lines at the bottom are the river, the blue lines are the river, the bird is the state bird, the
Hermit
thrush.
thrush.
And then the mountains are just symbolic of Mount Mansfield.
How'd you make it?
Oh,
I made it, it's sort of
Yeah, I
like
wanted to
using
show that.
Excel to write a book. I made it with Photoshop.
I don't know.
Nice.
But
I
it's-
really like it.
Can you see?
But
And
it's,
I like the words around
Can
it.
you see?
I like that too. I like the
Yeah.
words around it. It gives it.
So official.
Pat, can you see this
I
logo?
copied it from something else. Maybe I
I
should
don't think he
talk about
has.
that. Let me see if we think that's okay.
What's in the upper left-hand quadrant?
That is the
I'll have to bring
tree.
it.
That's the tree that the
Yeah.
bird's sitting under. It's just a symbolic tree
Mhm.
with the canopy of the tree, the green.
Oh. Okay. You have to be an artist to understand things.
I think I had to take a photo of it, so I
We
can
can
send
talk
it
about
to Patrick.
symbolism. You can call anything symbolic. Oh, it's a tree.
I see
The
this.
river.
I see this as the tree right here. I just.
Yeah, it's the tree. It's the tree branches going to
Gotcha.
the canopy.
Gotcha.
So,
And
Oh, and it is simplistic, so it's a style that is,
Yes.
here, so I'm gonna photograph this for Pat, because I don't think holding it up is very helpful to him. So I'll have that one and then this one with,
In a way. Let me. So,
these are for you. And
Oh.
they're from the plant, or the flower show,
Let me show you
the
what I
flower
saw.
seeds.
Oh, yeah.
However you wish to use them,
Okay.
I figured I'd give them to the keeper of the monarch rule.
okay,
I did notice that snow had melted off of the parking area.
this is
On
what
one
it
side,
comes
and it's fully green, full of grass.
from. You see that?
Okay.
You eat.
And what is that? We would have to do it.
A
Yeah.
example.
Just an idea.
Yeah, no,
But
I
you
like,
have to, but you have to
I love the
pay for it.
idea.
So it's not,
It's just not
it's
wanting them
not
to be drowned out by
exactly,
the
it's
grass.
like,
Yes,
I don't know,
because the
yeah,
more-
it's different colors,
Yeah.
I cut out that, I changed the bird.
I don't know how soon, you know,
Yeah, I don't know what the
and,
deal.
and the grass will probably grow very quickly now,
Okay.
especially if it's green and ready to go.
Okay, so maybe while Karen is doing that, I just wanted to read something that I talked to Brad about. Karen, maybe you've got, can you give me half your ear? I don't know. So I was supposed to talk to Brad about an email address And this is what I asked him. Can the UCC select whatever email address? So anyway, I ran into Amanda at a town meeting and asked her to remind
Plenty
me
more to take home.
why we couldn't have an email address, or could we have an email address, just to remind me of the issue. And she said, now we can. Brad can set them up, and he's intending to as soon as he gets around to it, because there's a million things to do. So I wrote and asked him, can the UCC select whatever email address it wants? For instance, could it be ucc@underhillvt.com or conservation@underhillvt.com? Or do you plan to coordinate commission names and emails so they look similar, as in recreation@underhillvt.com, conservation? Then I said, would a commission member be able to access the email account from home, or would the commission member need to use a town computer for access? Or are you planning that you or Amanda would access the emails and forward them to someone on the commission? And then I asked him, do you think it would be better to have a query type form on the commission webpage for initial communication instead of an email address? I can imagine that an email address could invite a barrage of comments or criticisms, and I don't know if there would then be a legal obligation to respond or not. So I didn't know if we'd be making for ourselves so much work that we didn't want to have an email address. So this is what Brad said. The idea is to have a generic email address for all the committee chairs. This email will only be accessed by the chair and will be passed along when a new chair takes over. I think ucc@underhillvt.gov makes sense. Only the chair will have access to the account, and every correspondence among committee members shall CC that address. This doesn't need to be complicated. The goal is to have access to all email correspondence here in-house, should a public record request arise. As far as complaints, comments, or criticism, those should always be directed to me, and the town will determine what type of response is warranted. So I have a couple, just a main concern about that is I presume Brad doesn't mean that every single piece of correspondence has to be CC'd to that address, which would mean the chair gets it and the town gets it, that it would only be quorum type correspondence, I would think. If I'm saying to Betsy, when do you want to meet to go over the logo? Can you meet at 9:30? And she writes back and says, no, I want to meet at 9. I say, well, I can't do it that day. I've got to do it another day. It seems silly that have to be part of the correspondence. But I would think anything that would be sent to the committee as a quorum would be what you would want to CC. Karen, do you have thoughts about that?
I don't. I mean, I think if it's something official, I guess what he wants to make certain is that, unlike the DRB, when we go into deliberative,
Yeah.
we just talk amongst ourselves.
Right.
Right. But I think what he's getting at is we're not the DRB and we're not in deliberative session, and therefore it becomes public information.
I would think only, but
But I
only
think-
involving a quorum though, wouldn't it? I
I
mean, if
think
you're just
so,
having a
yeah.
conversation with me, does that have to,
I can't see that it would because it's not a quorum.
okay.
It's not a meeting, you know.
Well, maybe I can
Clarify that.
ask him a little bit more about that, but let me just ask you what you think. Brad said, I think UCC@underhillvt.gov makes sense to him. Do you want me to suggest something else, or do you like the UCC@underhillvt.gov?
I like that.
Or .com, is it .com? It's
No, it's gov.
It's .gov, sorry.
Yeah, I like that.
Everyone else okay with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so then I would just clarify by asking him, is it the quorum
And these
communication?
rules are rules for all of the commissions and committees then.
Karen, I would think the DRB would follow this, but maybe, except maybe out of deliberative session, maybe, but.
Well, we don't really communicate out of deliberative.
No, we might get a quorum call or,
Oh, yeah, right.
you know, somebody saying they're out of town or, I don't know.
Oh, that seems like an awful lot of mail going into.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. Patrick, I sent you copies through the email, a copy of the logo that's proposed. It should be in your mail. I hope you can, it'll be large enough for you to look at.
Okay, so back to the logo. Do you feel we can proceed with this?
I
This
think,
one?
yeah, I mean, if people like it, I think we can. The only thing that I'm still would like to have for the agenda is just the typical town of Underhill on the agenda. Only because the commissions are kind of, part of the town. But everything else, the minutes and everything, I don't think would be a problem, if that's okay with everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to just strike out and be independent? Pave the way for,
Pave the way.
should we vote or?
What about?
or-
Pat, do you have thoughts?
I could concede that. I could
Like
concede
it.
that.
It seems everything is abstract except the bird.
Well, that's the state bird.
You mean you want the bird more abstract, Patrick?
I like the abstract aspect of the logo. Yeah, I think it's quite striking.
Right.
That damn thrush needs some new clothes.
Does.
Well, I'll talk with you about that thrush later if you want more abstract.
Yeah. Folks like
I don't
that?
know.
Yeah.
It would be a thrush then. Oh, well, we can-
We'll talk about that.
So far, we're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Trinity, yeah.
Great.
Do you like it?
Agree. I like
We're
it.
good.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Okay, then in the future, what I'll do is show you how we can incorporate email logos into our communication. And what it ends up being on a phone. On a computer, if you have Gmail, at least, you can use it as a signature. It's called setting up a signature. On a phone, what you end up doing is just inserting a photo at the bottom of the email. And how you do that is you just get it, you download it into your phone, and you just keep it in a special place so it's easy to insert. And I can show you how to do that another time.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So the expectation would be that in our own personal emails, we would insert the logo?
In our emails to one another, if we feel like it, as a commission member, if you're doing any correspondence as a commission member, I guess. So you could do it, it's a little bit of a bother to call it up that special signature. So if you're emailing Karen that you want to talk with her at 9:30, then you might not bother with that, but maybe in communication with the public, I think. would be
Oh, I
nice
see
to
what
do.
you're saying. Okay.
If you're emailing the school as a commission member.
Betsy brought a gavel.
Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And that would be on the official UCC at Underhill.
bt.gov,
Yeah.
right, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't email from that. You would be able to email from that, but we can't, but we would copy it.
But if I send you something,
Yeah, it'd be
Then-
nice if you did.
then you email back. It would be on it. Right?
Yeah, I
It
think,
has to be official. Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Because so we have some other things we need to cover tonight. But good. That looks good. I like the colors.
Good.
Except, of course, the thrush. We got to change the color of the thrush.
well,
Thrush is brown usually.
Yeah.
You know, they have a beautiful
Is it
voice,
brown?
but
It's brown with
yeah.
a beautiful
With
rest of,
dots?
yeah.
it's their voice that really distinguishes them more than they're not like
that might be a small talk sometime.
Yeah. Okay, next is, we finished the logo. The Underhill's tiered ecological priorities. And I wanted to include that because we're going to be having, well, we already sort of had a conversation about the work plan. But just to keep everybody up to date on what's been happening with the mapping committee, of which we're sort of part of, and the planning commission. And,
So this is actually supposed to be an 11 by 17. It's kind
Yeah.
of small to see.
I know. I should have brought that. Okay, so, what has been happening, is that I didn't bring the other one that we had from, I think I sent the wrong one. I wanted the one that we had from the planning commission meeting. It was, I think, only 3 columns.
It was the simple one.
The simple one, yes.
I don't have it with me.
Oh, shoot. That's really what I want people to.
No.
Wait a minute.
I can.
I think I might have it here. I'll make copies.
But this, at least, this gives a definition of what these are. I think that in the importance of it, that the planning commission one doesn't.
No, you're right. Doesn't. I don't think I do have it. Okay, so we looked at this. A lot of these things came from the maps that Arrowwood did. A lot of these headers. And if you remember the presentation that Arrowwood did for Town of Underhill, we were asked to work on mapping so that for part of the use would be the planning commission could then look at places to build up, places not to build up, what to make decisions on, what's important in the town of Underhill and how it works, how it syncs with the ecological priorities that the state is looking at. Jens came to the planning commission twice to talk about conservation by design, which fits right into what I think that Underhill is working towards. Penny, you want to?
Could I just ask, Scott, are you familiar with the Natural Resources Inventory Committee? What happened was with some funding, we formed a small committee with members from different commissions like conservation, DRB, planning, and the like, and we hired an environmental biologist. What's it? Arrowwood Environmental?
Yes, yeah.
Environmental engineers or biologists to look at our natural resources in Underhill, anything from forest connectivity to vernal pools to wetlands, and to give us, and you might have seen, I've seen you and your son at Green Up Day last year, was getting people to talk about that's where I've seen you, right, talk about what wildlife you'd seen, right?
Yeah.
So they used that resource that we gave them, but also they themselves went out and they created a report telling us, and this is happening all over the state of Vermont because Vermont wants our towns to know this, what our natural resources are. And we have a wealth of them in Underhill. So the idea is that they created a report and the Planning Commission, this Natural Resources Committee, which included a small number of us, made some recommendations to the Planning Commission saying, given this report, we advise or suggest to the Planning Commission that you consider protecting vernal pools. We don't have anything in our regulations right now protecting them, but we think given this report, it's a valuable resource. So that's what Karen is talking about. These are the priorities that the Natural Resources Inventory Committee sent to the Planning Commission. And part of this for the Conservation Commission is that the idea is that some regulations will possibly change, say around a vernal pool, but there's a whole bunch of areas that the regulations won't change for, but they are hoping, the Planning Commission is hoping the Conservation Commission will educate the public and suggest management plans to the public for their resources that aren't regulated, but that are very precious. Right, Karen, is that
Right.
basically it?
Basically, yeah. I mean, yes, absolutely. And the state has sort of outlined their bullets of importance, which again, we saw that in the maps that Arrowwood presented, which are the forest blocks, the wet areas, for example, the wildlife, well, they couldn't do too many wildlife crossings because,
Because there wasn't enough snow.
well, there wasn't enough snow, but also we didn't get, permission from some of the private landowners, unfortunately. But, so we have those two, but this, the state itself in their design has suggested keeping the forest in blocks, keeping it intact in areas, trying not to break it up because it's very important that the wildlife can traverse up and down the Green Mountains.
Right, because
Yeah.
one of the most important things for resiliency in nature is biodiversity.
Yeah.
And if you break up and fragment the forest, the animals cannot move their genetic material anywhere else. It becomes inbreeding, and then we lose our resilience. But there are some areas, like for instance, Karen knows much more about this, I know very little, but mast stands. Mast stands will not get into our regulations, but they're critical to bear, apparently, right, Karen? And they're
Oh, yes, they are.
oak and beech? Is that it?
Beach, yeah. And you can, when you're driving into Underhill, especially in the fall, a lot of the beech leaves are still on the trees. So you can see areas on Mount Mansfield, not as much, but over sort of close to Clark. I mean, if you look up, you'll see them, or you can see oak stands. We don't have many oaks, there are just a few, but those are critical to the wildlife. One of the things that we see a lot are the claws on the beech trees. Yeah.
So it would be the Conservation Commission that they are hoping would in the future formulate a plan to educate the public on mast stands and landowners on mast stands that have them, so that the landowners will take an interest and pride in being able to conserve that area for wildlife. And so we can all learn together how important these aspects of our environment are.
Yeah, I think one of the ones that Penny mentioned sort of in the beginning are the vernal pools. The vernal pools are, they're hard to map because they're only there in the spring. But one of the things that we could do as an educational project is educate people about them, because I think the Planning Commission is deciding about the setback from vernal pools. Yeah, and that then would impact subdivisions or placement of houses, things like that. Yeah.
Right, and so it's likely it might be 100 feet. There's a setback of 100 feet from important wetlands. But in the research that the state has done, it is more like 600 feet from a vernal pool is where the amphibians that will access that vernal pool come from. And they need to have undisturbed territory to be able to move from there to the vernal pool to breed and then move back out again. But there is no way in the world our regulations are going to say to leave a 600-foot buffer. And I read somewhere that a 600-foot buffer around an average sized vernal pool is something like 26 acres.
Wow.
There aren't that many vernal pools. There are many that I think Arrowwood identified 22 by, I think it was overhead mapping in a wetland, some sort of database. And there may be many more, but to educate homeowners who own large properties that have vernal pools, that they might not want to build their sugar shack there, or their, whatever shed there within that circle, so that the amphibians are able, because if they don't have that, they will not breed, they are gone. So they're leaving that up to the Conservation Commission to be that conduit to the public for these issues, which is something we have to rise to the
We have to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is, not to come to have a conversation about every one of these area, things, the wetlands and the threatened species, but to give you an opportunity to look at what's on the docket, to have conversations about whether it's forested riparian or the natural communities, which would include the mass stands.
I want to add to here, this as a PDF works pretty well because I actually have links to these different documents that come right up if you click on the link. And I want to put on our regulations here too. So I will email this out to everyone later so that, I know it's more complicated than the little one-line matrix that the Planning Commission was using. But this tries to reference these two really important books, I think, that the state put out, Mapping Vermont's Natural Heritage, and this one, Conserving Vermont's Natural Heritage. And they are PDFs online, which I have as links on this particular PDF, so you're just able to click on it. And it just gives a short synopsis of what the definition is of these conservation areas, the importance of them, and the goals that we're working toward, and what the Natural Resources Inventory Mapping Committee recommended to the Planning Commission. It may not end up following the recommendation at all. We don't know. So I'll send that out again.
A lot going on.
Is there another copy of this?
Is there a little one available? Probably somewhere here.
Why don't I make a copy of this?
Oh, you can make a copy.
Do you want
If it gets emailed, I can just use a PDF.
All right. Oh, I have it.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah. So, Penny, did you want to talk? No,
No, I've talked enough.
you talked enough, okay.
No.
So that we had some high-level overview of the ecological priorities, and then you have a chance to look them over, not hear this, and want to have a larger conversation, we can do it next time.
Right.
Yeah.
And part of this overview, I'll just say, is on this chart, for instance, the idea would be, it may not be the final word though, that in the blue, the first primary conservation areas will end up somehow getting into the regulations. At the very end, the red are the secondary, which will not get in the regulations, definitely, and will be something that the Conservation Commission may have to take on.
And you'll see vernal pool wetlands right there,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah, the thing about the mass stands, the good news is that most of them are at high heights. Not
Not in my backyard.
not in your backyard.
Okay.
They're gonna be on hillsides and, like up in Jeff Davis's, with the ski area way up where backcountry skiing is, there's a
Yeah,
lot of beach up
there's
there.
an amazing
Yeah,
undersea bears.
yeah. Bears,
All the beech trees.
Henry, did you say that you had those two book resources linked on here?
You see it right under,
Yeah.
right there. When you're looking at the PDF, if you click on that, it will open up that document.
I'm
Oh,
wondering,
I see it right there.
I'm wondering if we should order some books. I have.
Sure. If you can get these books, you are a magician. I got these maybe 2 years ago, and I had to call the state, and they had to call to this and call to that, and I had to buy them, and there was only one copy left, and I had to go to Essex Junction to get it. This were published, I think, about 10 years ago, but they used to be all over the place.
They were,
Yeah. I have one of them.
all right. Let me see if I can get that one. Who did you, okay.
It was Jens and Fish and Wildlife I'll send you the name of the woman, in Essex.
Yeah. Andrea Shortsleeve is now acting.
If you know people.
Let's see if we can, maybe we can get them and get. think I have one. You have one?
There
I
are
have one.
3.
There are 3 books.
I have a map,
Yeah.
mapping.
Okay.
So you'll see at least 2 of them there on the the natural, conserving Vermont's natural heritage and mapping Vermont's natural heritage, and then there's a 3rd. Karen, I know we have to do, the planning list crosswalk continuation was our discussion of the 5-year
Yes.
plan. We've sort of done that.
Yep.
And I know we need to have a couple more things to do, but I want to just remind you, don't forget about Patrick's ceremonies that we're going to try to work through here.
Yeah.
Maybe Patrick can speak to them again to remind us.
Oh, do we have them? They're in the minutes, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
short, they're a little short.
Yeah. So do we want to decide which, I guess I should have put them together. Patrick, do you have an idea of, were you thinking of having the ceremony one ceremony? I thought we talked at a certain specific time and then another one at another time within the calendar year. Is that what we talked about at our last meeting?
I don't actually recall, but we are, my group, Alnobawi, is having a meeting on the 26th, and our council will talk over what we might be able to do, and I can bring that back to you. And I'm sure there will be some choices. Would that work?
I think that would work. Yeah, that would work.
I wrote down everything that Patrick said last month,
Why don't you read
and
that?
just for our refreshing.
Yeah.
So the solstice is the flaming arrow. Forgiveness moon, which is usually the first moon in December or January, was more of a wintry. The elders and child was spreading cornmeal, and that was more, I don't know what time of year that is.
That's
Green.
a field blessing. That's in the spring.
Spring. Green corn harvest in August.
Green corn is usually August. It's whenever the corn is ready to eat. Sweet corn.
And the last 2 were a rain dance and an eagle dance. With
Yeah,
no-
those are ceremonies that are not specific to a time, but it's more like as needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of other ceremonies as well I didn't mention. There's the hunter's dance, corn woman, a whole bunch of them that I didn't mention, and we haven't actually had a chance to do them for a few years now. COVID kind of ruined our momentum. So I can discuss the possibility with my council and get back to you. And if when I get back to you, if there's something that you are specifically interested in, we could try to figure out how it could happen. We don't actually have very many people. I was looking at something the other day. In the 1980, the United States Census identified less than 1,000 Abenakis in Vermont. Now, we've gotten a lot more of them since then, but Underhill has lost people. We've had, I don't know, a lack of interest, I guess. It takes a lot of effort to do these things, and so people fall away from it. Now, that was one thing that I was hoping to be able to bring up early tonight, but I think my term is up.
Yes, I actually should have probably had it at the beginning. Your term is up, as is mine and Betsy's, so I was hoping you would re-up.
Well, I don't know if this is the right time to mention it, but um, I don't actually do that much. I I can't really walk, and I I don't know of what value I am to the commission.
Patrick, we've got you down for a number of things, and there's hope that you'll sign up for more. Right from your chair, you can do them.
Well, I'd like to get it. I'd like to figure out, or I'd like my medicos to figure out why I can't walk, but it's either Parkinson's or some kind of a spinal damage thing, and I don't know if you can fix either one of those things. So we'll see.
Patrick, I was hoping maybe you'd sign up for some conservation small talks. And I wanted to ask you when you might be able to do those, if those would be coordinating with any particular Abenaki issues in the year.
Well, they could be. Um, we don't have a huge number of elder Abenakis either, and I'm wearing out my welcome, that's for sure.
These,
So
these small,
I don't know. We're going to be doing at the end of May. We're doing a powwow up in Swanton, and it'll be the second powwow that we've done in, I don't know, 20 years. And it may be a pretty big one. We might be able to coordinate something in that at that time. We don't know if we're going to do the shooting fire ceremony again this year or not yet. We could certainly do field blessings from time to time. And in recent years, we haven't had to do a rain dance, so I
Yeah,
don't know if anybody can remember how to do it. So really, I think the best bet for us is I'll stick it out with you guys if you really want me to, and
we do.
I will talk to my council and see what they think. I did mention it to Morgan, and Morgan seemed keen on being able to do something for our hometown.
Could he do something just with his music?
Pardon me?
Could he do something tied in maybe with a celebration with his music
Yeah.
for the town?
He was thinking that the two things that we are equipped to do best right now is something musical and something sort of a demonstration kind of event, something that doesn't require too many people. For instance, that craft event that we did last year
Yeah.
was that was quite popular. We didn't really get a chance to advertise it very much, but it seemed like the people that visited us thought it was a pretty keen thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we can incorporate some of that. Anyway, if the best thing for me to do is to take it to the council because we are a democracy and so we have to vote on these things. And we'll see.
And Patrick, I do have one question. For the Eagle Dance, is that a specific, it's a ceremony, but does it have to do with certain time of year?
No, the Eagle Dance, the same as the rain dance, can be done anytime. And the Eagle Dance and the rain dance as well, can utilize a number of people. Typically, the Eagle Dance is one drummer, singer, and one dancer. But typically, the rain dance is anywhere from 4 people up. And that's going to be a problem because, well, our council is only 4 people.
Yeah. It's also
We can relate.
yeah, we can relate. Yes, yeah. Okay. All right. So you're going to take it to the council and see which ones you recommend that you can do, and you come back to us with recommendations for next month, correct?
Right. And depending on what we talk about and decide, we may need a space. If we did the shooting fire, I don't know where we would do it. It because it involves shooting arrows, and the arrows are on fire. We need to have water present in case the grass catches on fire and that sort of thing. So
We do the fire department.
No, well, I was thinking of maybe Casey's Hill, that area somewhere, parking lot there
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
that could be very interesting. If we did a shooting fire ceremony, it could attract a lot of people too. And
Yeah.
I know, I think we had 107 people at the largest one that we've done. But I could envision a couple of hundred people being interested in the event. It doesn't take very long. It's it happens around noon on whatever the solstice day is, and it's usually in the middle of the week, and it could take a few hours, I guess. Not an all day deal.
Okay,
I
so,
have a question for you. Could you send me your son's email address, please?
Yep.
And maybe I'll just, because I had a great conversation with him that particular day about music and teaching. And I wondered if I got in touch with him, maybe we could brainstorm something for the Conservation Commission to do in combination with anything else that comes up.
Yeah, he'd be your guy. I think I have your email someplace.
I think I had it, but I'm pretty sure
I'll
it wasn't
definitely I'll send it to you because
Thank you.
he's our grants manager and our event coordinator. So he's involved in just about any kind of event we do. The younger generation, you know.
summer solstice this year is June 20th. It's a Friday.
Oh, Friday. Oh, that's good.
And the solstice is going to occur at 10:41 p.m. But perhaps we could do it during
We don't
the,
have to do it. You see, that's the thing. If we do it as a ceremony, then we really have to limit who watches and what they do as far as photography is concerned. But if we do it at any other time than the correct time, it's not a ceremony, it's a demonstration. And then we can do whatever we want to do.
so this is interesting. Summer solstice in Vermont is one thing, and then AI says it's a different day.
That's not interesting.
Well, it's a different time depending on where you are.
Yes.
I wasn't aware that it encompassed the whole day, but
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, so we think it's the 20th of June, but AI says it's the 21st. I don't think so. Anyway. Okay. So then I think we should, we have to talk about very quickly, composting workshop
And green up day.
and green up day. And we have the organization. So you want to do the organizational meeting right now? We could, okay. So I'm up, I'm willing to re-up. Our terms are up, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, I suppose that's probably a good thing for me to
Yes.
carry on.
Yeah, I think as project manager, you better re-up.
Yeah,
I could be like the Canadians, pass the torch,
You could.
yeah.
meaning you
Yes.
vote. Okay, yes.
Yes? Okay. Okay, so we have 3 to re-up. Would you like to join the Conservation Commission?
No pressure. You
No
just
pressure.
Think about it. You can
You'll do it?
You would?
Oh, okay,
wow,
good.
All
All
right.
right.
Always love it.
Yes, all right,
Okay.
that's great.
Well,
All right.
welcome, Scott.
Welcome.
And thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're at an appropriate meeting for it.
Yes, yeah. And
Worked out well.
I will send your name along to our town administrator, Brad, and he will bring it to the select board. So you'll be appointed. We're, some of us.
Well, if Brad,
Yeah.
yeah, I just went through some permitting with him.
Yeah, that's right.
He's probably over me. No, it's fine.
Okay, that's great. Good. Then the next thing is we have elections. So,
May I ask something? I looked at some time ago, the Association of Conservation Commissions, no, maybe the statute. And I think we're supposed to have a chair, a treasurer, and a secretary. Those are the 3 that I think every conservation commission is supposed to have, if I remember correctly.
well, I thought we were supposed to have a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary / treasurer, which had been Daphne when she was secretary / treasurer. There's not a whole lot to treasure, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
we got $900 now, thanks to Logan.
Yes, but
Treasurer.
Jennifer is sort of our treasurer.
And is that money in an account for the Conservation Commission at this point in time?
Yes,
Oh, good.
it is.
Okay.
Yes, and then we have our regular account, or whatever it's, you know what I mean, it's a, well,
I don't know.
the $900 is in an account that we can spend as needed, but we also have a spending account.
Oh, right, okay.
And so what that means is if we put it into a regular account, I think that it all has to be spent by June 30th. So the 900 is not in that type of a category.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have to spend our account money by July 30th, or June?
July 30th, I'm sorry, yes. Which is not the money that was just voted on this year, but what we had last year. So we have money to spend.
Because that would be good to know
Yeah.
about for construction
The kiosk
Yeah.
and the,
materials and.
yeah. And also if we want a speaker that's going to cost money, we can spend it, because I think I put in money for at least 2 years ago, well, a long time ago now, for about 3 different speakers. Just put in, and as we had talked, of course, we can not really remember who we talked about them, but I think when we were talking about having a wildlife tracking person or something like that, and we thought we didn't want to expend that much money.
Do we still have that money, that means?
We have money for education, yes.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
May I, chapter 118, this is 24 BSA 4504, it says, at its organizational meeting, a conservation commission shall adopt by majority vote of those present and voting such rules as it deems necessary and appropriate for the performance of its functions. It shall annually elect a chair, a treasurer, and a clerk.
Oh, good.
And the rules of procedure, we probably have to go over at some point. Like Karen, there's a typo, and on one of it says that we have a 7-member board, and another area of it says we have a 9-member board.
Conservation commissions can have up to 9.
Yeah.
And so there is that conversation of ours is 7, but if 2 more people wanted to join, then what do we do if it says 7?
Right, so in the rules of procedure, it says we have 7 members, and then in another place, it says we have 9 members. So it's a typo, and there we just
Say
have to,
up to 9 or something.
Yeah.
Should say up to 9.
right,
And I can send that out. We just looked at it last year. I didn't think that we need to redo it, but I can send it out for everybody to see again. And anyway,
Scott, do you have a saw and hammer and nails?
I do.
oh, yeah, okay. All right, so we should have, do we have candidates that want to be the chair?
we're hoping you'll want to re-up that too.
I can.
I'm hoping you'll want to re-up that.
I can do that, I guess, yeah. I can do that. So,
I nominate Karen for chair person.
I second that.
all in favor? Yes, aye.
Okay.
We also need a secretary.
I nominate Lori.
Yes.
Can you take a moment from being a secretary to accept that nomination?
I can't
Yes.
unless you wanted to do it.
No,
Okay.
no, no, not at all.
All right.
I second that.
All right, but we don't, we can have a treasurer, but I can tell you Jennifer is our town treasurer, that she's our
Okay.
treasurer.
Then we don't need
But we do-
anybody, then we don't need anybody else, but we could get a report from her every now and then as to how much we have
We could,
in the account.
yeah, I could ask her right now, if you want.
How about for next meeting?
I want to make sure, is this still budget time for her?
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I'll find out
I have
how
no
busy
idea.
she is. Let's
Okay.
see what we have in the kitty. Okay, but I also think that we need to have a vice chair, because if I am sick or I can't be here, somebody has to run the meeting. And
Can't
that's,
you do it from home?
yes,
Well, in the past, we've canceled.
yeah, we have canceled.
My feeling is that I don't know. I remember doing it and it didn't require much at all except for being nervous if you were sick. No, seriously, it's a pretty quiet
Scott,
position.
how are you at technology by any chance?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
You have to run the technology
Yeah.
and remember how to run the technology.
Well, let's see, the planning commission, they have a vice chair, David. And the DRB has a vice chair, that's all.
But those boards are bigger, or commissions are bigger, aren't they?
Bigger.
Isn't the
The
DRB?
DRB is 7, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're
7. And the planning commission, though, I think might be larger.
Planning commission is 9.
So, at this point, nobody wants to be vice
I
chair.
wonder if it would work if you knew that you were going to not be available, you could pick someone
I could do that. Yeah.
just to sort of,
And educate them at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not planning not to be available, but I'm just,
yeah, it rarely
No
happens.
pressure, don't get sick, Karen.
I try not to, I'll tell you. I'm just germaphobe. Yes. All right.
Does that make sense?
That
to
makes sense.
Call
So,
upon
Thank you.
a fellow
yeah,
commissioner.
yes. That sounds good. We'll do that. It'll be rotating.
Okay.
Okay, so I think, and the next time then I'll send out the, our procedures and things, policies and procedures, for folks to look at. We can have a conversation about it. And we also have to fall underneath the town of Underhill's policies and procedures, which are, it's just a blanket one. You've seen them.
I haven't, Karen.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know where those are.
I'll have Brad send them to me. Yeah, I mean, we have our own.
Yeah.
But I think that it's sort of a blanket
Okay.
thing for committees. It's no big deal. All right, so first, I just want to say that at the, where was it, was it town meeting? There was a conversation about bears and composting. And thereafter, I got in my head, why don't we do something about bears and composting together? Because people sometimes do not associate the composting with having the bears come to visit them.
Mhm.
And so I contacted Dan Steinbauer, and he's really very willing to do a workshop, and he can do a couple of workshops. It turns out that Sandy Milmont has scheduled him on April 26th to do a workshop with the Food Hub, and he wondered if we wanted to do it with her. And Susan Adams wants to do a workshop as well. So the thought would be.
She wants Dan to do a workshop
Yes,
as well?
yeah.
Okay.
So the thought would be to have a workshop that we could all sort of co-sponsor on the 26th. And then Dan said he's very willing to do another one at a later date. So does the 26th of April sound like a date that folks that it's a Saturday, that would like to come to that, and we can sort of do some of the, I can do, put things out on Facebook for him or
I think
maybe
that would be great.
Yeah.
I personally think that would be great. I was going to bring that up as one of my around the tables for people who talked at town meeting. And I think that would be great if the Conservation Commission could hop on promoting that. And I wish that we could, my dream of dreams, by the way, a little sidebar, is that we get some ads together and send one out, say, every week. And around that, maybe 2 weeks ahead of time, we could start, or 3 weeks ahead of time, sending that out. Things on Instagram and Facebook, that would be great.
Yes.
We could co-sponsor it.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be nice too if we could also add to it more information about bears too, Karen? I wonder if we can. Because it's bears and trash that is a big deal right now that Sabina in Jericho was talking about.
Yes, but that's what I was thinking, that we could do that maybe together with a bear expert. And I haven't set up the bear expert yet.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I mean, or anybody could do that. I mean, I was thinking there's a new one for the state that, and I think Sabina might have mentioned it, but.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the other piece is I know, I talked to the interns that were at town meeting that are working with Sabina on the bear project. And so I thought we could connect with that. I don't know enough about it though, and they were gonna send me an email.
Okay.
So I haven't heard.
So that's on your action item list to work on bears and.
I love bears.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, so the 26th sounds good, and then we will move from there to something else perhaps. Is this yours? I just stole yours.
It's Penny's.
Okay.
I stole it first.
Okay.
Traveling down the line.
All right, so green update planning.
Is there gonna be a barbecue?
I think there is.
And are we thinking that we wanna have educational information there? And do we wanna lead walks, and might Marcy be someone who could do that?
I would love to. I think we should have walks. That was fun when we did
That
that.
sounds great.
Yeah, if Marcy would.
I think last year went well. One of the issues though is that we can't find any of our pamphlets anymore, right?
Yeah, the box of pamphlets disappeared.
I wonder if Dan Steinbauer has them.
No.
Do you think he might?
No.
He wouldn't?
They were left, I thought, under the little table in the vestibule upstairs.
Yes.
And so they're not there.
After Green Up Day, they were left there?
Yeah,
Yes.
oh, that's where I put them, I'm quite sure. So they're there may really be a loss. And I'm gonna jump in here because at the flower show, I met a really neat young woman who works for the state of Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets, and she said, the Conservation Commission, and we're always looking for informative, educational pamphlets and things, and she said, talk to me, I can get you all kinds of things, we'll figure it out.
Oh,
So
Oh, good.
I pass this to you in terms of the, I'm just wondering, I can connect with her, but also I'm happy to, she will remember my name, but, I was just thinking in terms of the 5-year plan, if you're doing education, I think it comes under other things like, oh, maybe that's not right. Oh, materials, management programs and materials. Shall I just carry on with her? I'm happy to. The piece is, if we're gonna have some things for Green Up Day,
Yep,
we need to
hop on it.
Decide what we want.
yeah, and also, this came through Chittenden solid waste.
Of composting, so.
And I don't know if you wanna take this, since you're gonna,
Yes, I can do that. I will take that and confer with Dan about, do you want to look at it first? Confer with him if these are the, if this is Chittenden's out, yeah, we can make copy, we can get some of these copied. For the
That's great,
composting.
Lindsay, thank you.
Yeah,
anyway, do you want me just to talk to her and throw out ideas of, I mean, in the past, the whole list is here, it's
well, we had ticks,
6 and.
We've got,
Bears.
we've got bobcats, moose, beavers, birds, ticks, mass stands, vernal pool wetlands, probably, they don't have anything else.
Primary agricultural soils, maybe, I don't know,
so you have a list, but I know that, there's always a high interest in ticks, high interest in bears.
I can send you
High,
pictures of the ones we used to have, because I have a sample of all of them.
okay,
Oh.
That I can send you.
all right.
okay.
Remember I laminated them?
Yes,
for
you
that
did.
box, so.
And did some.
I didn't take them.
No, I know you didn't, I'm just.
Honestly, I didn't take them.
So we
Somebody just.
haven't been able to do anything about a, way to display these things, other than the.
Sort of, kinda. It worked out, yeah. It worked out, last year, okay, for me to use that wooden box that I put them in, and I laminated them and made 2 sets of laminations so that people could flip through and see what was in the box. Otherwise, we could have little plastic, we talked about that before, little plastic brochure holders, but people were thinking maybe the Conservation Commission doesn't want to have plastic brochure holders. I don't know, doesn't matter to me.
Well, maybe the brochures will need to go somewhere, so does Stephen have any ideas about how to do that this year?
I mean, how to
Green Up
display
Day,
them?
yeah.
I think in the box with the laminate.
Okay, with extra copies for people to take?
Yeah, there are lots of extra copies,
Yeah.
but also we have, for the more important ones, like jumping worms, we also have those plastic frames that we can just put one down
Over.
and put a frame on it on the table. Depending on how big the table is, we can have lots of those. Remember, the issue was it was so windy.
Right.
It's often very
It's
windy.
always windy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that'll work out okay.
Okay,
What we don't have is great big 24 by 36. We talked about an A-frame at one time, having Conservation Commission information on it. I never really got that from A to B, and moved that, but I can work on that for next year.
would the towns, what's that called? That kind of sign,
Yeah,
having that with Conservation Commission information on it be helpful?
I thought,
I think that's not very tall though.
I don't think that has, does that have insert ability?
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
It does? Did they get one of those?
Oh, at least there was I mean, it's used for soup bowl and all kinds of things.
Oh, maybe you can show me.
What's that kind of sign called?
No,
Sandwich.
sandwich board.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, that would be helpful to have it would not blow over probably.
Right.
And all the letters, used to be over there.
Oh, that's ones that you put the letters on it. Oh,
Yeah.
at some point, we were thinking about having a sandwich board that had we would print a poster of the Conservation Commission with text and photos.
Mhm.
Like, okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, we
I'm
could do
kind
that.
of
We could do that.
running amok here, but,
Yeah.
so,
So, well, we have starter ideas and we still have another meeting before Green Up Day, which is, we have 2 months basically before
Right.
Green Up Day. So as long as we start getting the materials
and
and
I'm sorry, the town is gonna take care of the barbecue stuff.
yeah, they do. They do.
Shall I ask
And-
Marcy if she wants to?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll talk
And
to
then-
Brad to confirm that we're having a barbecue, but I'm pretty sure we are.
Okay.
We always do. And I-
Don Toby was the one who came last year and led some walks and identified trees, didn't he?
2 years ago.
he did taught he how to measure trees. And
That was
yeah,
a couple of years ago, I
the
think.
biggest tree contest.
Don
and-
is a
yeah.
wealth
Yeah.
of knowledge about trees and tree
Yeah.
health and the
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be great to tap into him. Maybe it's not for Green Up Day, but it's really good about. I think it'd be great to lead a walk.
I do too. I mean, just think about the things that were the topics of conversation at the town meeting.
Right.
Composting and ash borers and other trees. I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
so it'd be really good.
And there's no reason why, we can't continue having a bird walk or a,
Right.
Yeah,
watercolor session with kids or something like that.
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I be with the kids? We could do something like that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be for kids only, but
No, I'm kidding. Yeah,
to see what, the pop-up idea is possible.
Yes. Pop-ups, they worked well last year.
they did. And they worked well. We had a couple of pop-up workshops with Craig and things too. Okay, so other topics.
Just one last
Yeah, right.
one. I sent around the Crane Brook Conservation District trail monitoring sign up.
It's here.
I don't know if people realized what they were signing up for. That's what it was.
It's just
To please happen within the first 2 weeks of the month. So the idea would be what, Betsy?
Oh, to begin, and follow the trails as best one knows and just look for downed limbs. They don't need to be swept or raked. It might be something to document interesting things seen, like wildflowers or something that is exciting to share. I think any damage of any kind, it's
Take a
probably.
photo maybe? Take a photo?
Yeah, sure, that's a good idea. I don't think like for instance, we were up there and found some people camping up at the table and sort of reporting, it wasn't reported because Matt and I took care of it, but being aware that if those kinds of things are happening, we need to figure out how to make them not happen.
Educate the
Yes.
public, right? What about, so it's monitoring to report back, and it's also maybe to do some minimal maintenance, like if there are branches that you can, or sticks, you take them and just toss them?
Yeah,
Okay. And what about things like branches hanging over the trail? Do we want to go up with clippers, or we don't want to do that? That's maybe an organized effort and not just an individual going up there.
I don't know about that. Unless if it's dangerous or something that's not safe, I think acting on it right then and there is a good idea.
Okay, so maybe eye pokers.
I have a philosophy of keeping it as wild as possible, but of course we have the public coming to it, so.
Right. Or if we see any doggy do on the trails, we want to remove that.
Yeah, so maybe going up with clippers and a shovel and a small saw or something, or whatever you have. I don't think it has to be a really big deal, but I think it'd be kind of neat for us to get out there and just be sure that we're enjoying it too.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, we've got everybody on here. We've got a slot for August and a slot for December. If anybody wants to sign up, wants to sign up for more.
Yeah.
I haven't signed up.
Oh,
Do you need a pencil?
Please.
And then the other thing was conservation small talks. Was the list going around? Did I have that?
Yeah.
that's
it's
right
right
here. It's right here. So,
We have it. And
Patrick doesn't know about these lists going around.
Pat, yes, there's a list, a small talk list.
So it's the whole point of a small talk is just 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. We don't really want it to extend very long at all. It's just a small conversation, small education about something.
So,
Patrick, could we sign you up for some small talks? Just 5 to 10 minute talk on something interesting?
Interesting makes it difficult.
I mean, it could be, yeah. Could be August or,
I could do an Abenaki prayer.
oh, okay, that would be wonderful. Yes.
What kind of slot do we have there?
Well, we have August, October, November, December.
put him in for 2, please.
Pardon?
Would you be willing to do a couple of those? Patrick,
Pardon me?
would you be willing to do a couple of prayers?
Sure.
Do you know this cat?
You're
Yeah.
getting the note.
Okay, have you been warned?
Yeah. So, could you do, could we have one? Could we have 2 small talks together one time? Or?
If we keep, no.
Yeah.
You tried to make us promise that we would stop at 7:30. You
Yes.
wanted just an hour meeting.
No, an hour and a half would be good. My nose is getting quite stuffed. I'm allergic to cats, so. Yeah, maybe could you do one, either in April or May and then August as well? Or do you want to do just August for an Abenaki prayer or 2?
We typically do one at the start of every one of our meetings, so I've actually got quite a number of them.
Okay, can we have one?
They're in English, and they're about
Patrick,
20 lines long.
that's nothing.
Okay, how can you do one for the April meeting?
Every meeting.
Yeah, for April.
How about every meeting?
Well, we'll see if he wants to do it after that in
Okay.
April. Yes, yeah. And can you do that?
You know, if the boos are too loud, it'll turn me away.
Oh,
That chance.
okay, so, Penny, you also are doing something
What am I
Okay.
doing?
I'm gonna get Patrick in here. Okay, that sounds good.
Karen, while you have, oh,
Didn't- We'll let you ease your way into it, or do you want to sign up?
Oh, probably not yet.
Not yet, okay.
When we're very organized, what we try and do and don't have so much to cover is we do a small talk, 5 to 10 minutes, and then we just go around the room and we call it around the room, and it's just 1 or 2 minutes to make an observation about conservation or nature. We didn't do that this time, but that's what we typically do.
But, all right, other comments before we end the meeting? No?
That's it.
spoken.
Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Oh, right.
All right.
We are adjourned at 8:35, which is 30 minutes longer than I had hoped to keep you. But thank you for
We
staying.
had a really good meeting.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
think it's important to remember that we're civil servants in this wild world outside, doing good work.
Yes.
We do our best.
Maybe not civil servants so much, but definitely making a difference.
Would you be able to do a small talk in August because that's monarch time, or are you going to be on vacation?
I am not sure if I'll be back or not by then. So, I could be a TBD kind of.
TBD?
Just let me know.
I don't know.
It's over. Hey,
So
you have,
Trinity is down in June
oh, in
for a
June.
small talk.
Okay.
I did put a monarch topic in June.
Oh, okay.
To kick off our monarch season, which starts in July.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we still recording?
Oh, we are. Oops, I'm going to end the recording.
You gotta wait a year though.